a relaxed weekend sea kayak trip around the Applecross Peninsula in the Scottish Highlands. This trip offers fairly isolated, remote and very scenic paddling and camping while being relatively accessible and not too exposed to swell and bad weather. The plan was to set off from Shieldaig, paddle around the Applecross Peninsula to Ardarick over 3 days, a distance of around 40 miles. So as usual, it was a long drive north, this time to Shieldaig, taking in some superb scenery on the way through Glen Doherty and Glen Torridon, areas I hadn't visited before. I arrived in Shieldaig early evening, met up with the others for food and a few beers, and then had a very comfy night in the car. I woke early to a very still morning and enjoyed breakfast with a super view from my bedroom. I then met up with the others. We sorted out our gear and shuttled some cars to Ardarick. Soon we were off with a super sunny, very still morning, heading northwest up the scenic Loch Shieldaig. As we headed into Loch Torridon, the coastline became a bit more rugged. Round the northern tip of the Applecross Peninsula, we headed out of Loch Torridon into the inner sound of Raasay, where we followed the peninsula coastline south. The sea picked up a little here, giving very nice paddling conditions. Our planned camp spot, and very nice it was too. A fine, flat, grassy area with room to spread out, great views over to Rona and Skye, and a supply of driftwood for a fire. So after food it was time for that fire and of course a glass or two of whiskey.
looks like it's absolutely...
The fire lasted late into the evening with a nice sunset to top things off. Our GPS tracked day 1. Day 2, we woke to a nice calm morning and were soon packed up and ready to go. Today we were continuing south along the coastline, planning to get to the Uags Bothy on the southern tip of the peninsula for the night's camp. It was a super morning to be on the water, with fine views over to Rasay and Skye. On past the military underwater test range facility. Apparently it's not uncommon to see submarines in this area. We stopped for a short break at Applecross Sands Beach. The scenery remained superb, and we even had a seagull popping down the shoreline in front of us for a while. By the time we reached Applecross village it was raining, and it seemed sensible to pull in and support the local economy with some chips and a cuppa. Very welcome they were as well. The village locals didn't seem any more impressed with the rain than we were. So we set off into the murk. After a while the rain eased and the very atmospheric views returned. As we crossed the end of Loch Toscaig, we had a stiff headwind spring up. But once we had crossed, we were sheltered for the rest of the way to the Uags Bothy. Typical, we arrived at low tide, so I had a long carry up with the boats. This was a super spot with great views to the Crowlin Islands and Skye. Some decided to sleep in the comfort of the bothy, but the hardier ones opted for the tents. The rain was back on again, so I went to explore some ruins that were close to the bothy before getting changed out of the dry suit. Then into the bothy with the others for musical entertainment, food, a fire and of course some whiskey. our GPS track day 2. Day 3. During the night it rained, proper Scottish heavy rain. It was still raining when it was time to get up. We had planned to be on the water for 7 AM, so this meant sorting out our gear and doing essential morning tasks in the dark and in the rain, so it was on with a very stylish and functional storm cag. Accessing the bothy for breakfast wasn't that easy, as the tiny stream at the front door was in spate. As it got light, the extent of the rain became more apparent. And those in the tents were lucky not to have been flooded during the night. On the water, and it seemed even a frog had decided it was too wet at the bothy. It was attempting to hitch a lift, but it was safely returned to the shore. We headed out through the Skerries and then turned east into Loch Carron. Again, the scenery was superb and the waterfall impressive thanks to all that overnight rain. Up ahead, the Northern Producers floating production facility, relocated from the North Sea, awaiting redeployment or scrapping. Certainly an impressive structure, but rather out of place in this beautiful location. As we entered Loch Kishorn, the light breeze dropped, and we had glass-like conditions again to complete our paddle. Well, what another super trip. Thanks a lot, guys. Looking forward to the next one. Our GPS track day 3.